The president spent part of his speech today indicating that he is ready to fight for immigration reform and that if Republicans truly want to help the economy, then they should be willing to fight too.
If the House has ideas on how to improve the Senate bill, let's hear them. Let's start the negotiations. But let's not leave this problem to keep festering for another year or 2 years or 3 years. This can and should get done by the end of this year.
Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Luis Gutierrez of Illinois, author of the new book, Still Dreaming, My Journey from the Barrio to Capitol Hill. Good afternoon, sir.
It's good to be with you, Mark.
Congressman, is this the one ray of sunshine to come from this debacle? That if the president's first-term achievement is intact, the Affordable Care Act, then he's now ready to fight for comprehensive immigration reform as one of the main focuses of his second term?
And you know, I think there's a little precedent for it, right? For our optimism. Back in 1996, after Newt Gingrich threw a temper tantrum because he was in the back of the plane and said, I'm going to send President Clinton an even harsher CR. And they closed down the government twice in 95 and then again the first weeks of 96. Look what happened, Kennedy-Kassenbaum, right? Exclusions, healthcare reform, and Kennedy-Kassenbaum. What else did we do? We did welfare reform, and signature bills for Bill Clinton for his first term. So people started actually cooperating. There was more of a bipartisan spirit. Now, I believe it was in Democrats' self-interest to get those things done, but it's also in the Republicans' self-interest to get those things done. So sometimes out of the quagmire, right, come really good things for the American public. And I think comprehensive immigration reform is, you know, if you look at the 80, 90 Republicans that voted to keep the government open yesterday, there are in that group a substantial number that want to do comprehensive immigration reform. And we know there are 180, 190 Democrats ready to step up. And with the president behind it, I think we should get it done. The votes exist. They have to leave this Hastert rule, which, you know, Martin, you and I both know doesn't exist.
Yeah, quite.
Because Hastert said the Hastert rule is 218 votes so that we could get something done.
Well, look, Jay Carney said today that the immigration bill the Senate passed in June could pass the House passed and you could be past the Senate. But with 144 House GOP members voting for default last night, would John Boehner, do you think, risk another vote that required Democratic support?
Here's what I think. I think that there are members of the Republican Party that are ready to reach across the aisle to get it done. And I think that every day, there are two things that are happening here, right? I mean, if he thinks strategically, as Newt Gingrich in 1996 was thinking, I want to keep the majority, let me get some things done. You know, Bob Dole's running against Bill Clinton, but I've got to get things done so I can keep my majority, number one. Look, out of the defeat, out of the ashes of the defeat, what do you want to do so that people forget your defeat? A victory, right? And this is a victory that would be celebrated by the American people because he's already got bipartisan support for it, right? With the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, AFL-CIO, and the Chamber of Commerce.
You don't need to repeat all of them. I'm with you. Now, look, lastly, the Associated Press reported that salsa is now the #1 condiment in America. Let me show everyone how Matt Drudge blared that AP headline, complete with sombrero. What do you say to people who reduce your culture to a sombrero?
You know something? Ignorance has always existed in America. The know-nothings and those that would be mean and spiteful. But in the end, you know, look, they battered and beat the Irish when they came here. They did the same thing to Italians in the turn of the century, saying they were all criminals. They were wrong about the Italians and the Irish. And they're wrong about the immigrants today. America's always stepped forward, though, and set those people aside. And just like we're going to set aside the Ted Cruzes, who is a reflection of the 1950 McCarthy era, so are we going to take those that are hateful. America's really a country that, in the end, always embraces those that bring more compassion, more justice, and a better prospect to the nation.
From the Barrio to Capitol Hill, right in front of our viewers, Representative Luis Gutierrez. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll be right back in a moment.